By Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Happy Valentine's Day, one and all. Also, it's Ash Wednesday for all of you who observe, and it means something too. I hope it is a meaningful day for you. Interesting combination, that is for sure. Lots to talk about today. We will talk a lot of SEC, and that will be with stats and then with Ron Higgins. Brett Norsworthy joins us toward the bottom of the hour, and then our final guest on Wednesdays is always our SEC historian down in Baton Rouge. That would be Ron Higgins. Lots of parity in college basketball. Two more went down last night. Unranked teams beating ranked teams. One actually was a home-ranked team that went down. Syracuse knocked off North Carolina. That was surprising because North Carolina had beaten them by 36 earlier. So that was kind of crazy. And we'll start with that. The parity, is it because there's just not that many good teams? It's also, with the exception maybe of the SEC, where the games have been pretty close. Like the Big 12, crazy blowouts. Like Kansas got blown out by 29 points to Texas Tech after blowing out Houston by 30 or something in that nature. Just nutty stuff all the way around. LSU, and we'll talk with Ron Higgins about that, was down like 20. I gave up on them, and that ended up being Florida by 2. Who has done the best job with coaching this year? Because there's candidates on the positive side. Todd Golden at Florida. Really, Lamont Paris at South Carolina. He's probably the number one guy. Chris Beard has done a good job with Ole Miss, although they've hit a little tailspin in league play. We'll get into that with both of them. A lot of little odds and ends. Let me start by congratulating my friend Joe Theismann, former Notre Dame quarterback All-American, former great in the CFL, and even greater in the NFL with the Washington Redskins. He is the Distinguished Citizen Award winner for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. You know, that can be anything from Priscilla Presley to a great politician and statesman to a great athlete. We've had them all. And we had Steve Spurrier a couple of years ago. I think Peyton Manning was a winner one year. I'm trying to remember. Archie Manning was a winner. It's always a fun little get-together. It's right before we have the SEC. Used to be right around SEC Media Days, but it's right around the AutoZone Liberty Bowl golf tournament. So it's the night before that. It's a really nice time. Joe Theismann, by the way, very good friends, former family with Fred Edmiston, who owns Miramichi and loves to play out there, so I'm sure he'll participate. Joe's a pretty good golfer. Joe will participate in, I bet, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl golf tournament, which will be right after that. I'd hoped to have Joe on, but, Joe is, he went on to be a great broadcaster. He, at one time, was the highest paid employee of ESPN when he was doing Monday Night Football. And he has always been an exceptional motivational speaker. So I'd hope to get him on today. I know he's going to be on with Greg Gaston tomorrow morning. But he's actually giving a speech today in Dallas, some sort of a motivational speech of some kind. I'm not even sure what it is. But so we'll be passing. He'll be flying home while the Tigers are flying to the Metroplex. And we'll get into that in a little bit. In the meantime, last night, a moving moment. And TNT caught it all. Shaquille O'Neal was honored in Orlando, the first ever Orlando Magic player ever to have his number retired, raised to the rafters. What is incredible about that is I think there's another couple of players, maybe that are in the same category. But Shaq has now had his number retired with 3 different teams. That's how good and how long his career truly was, how dominating and endearing he was at all of the places he ended up playing. So his number now in Orlando to go with, you can name these teams really quick, can't you? Zach Boyd?
Yes. It is now the Magic.
Yeah.
You got the Lakers.
Yeah.
You got the Miami Heat.
That's right. Do you know any others? Who are the other guys that have there's I read it and unfortunately I can't remember. There's a couple of other players that have had their numbers, I think, retired at 3 places. Not many. That's pretty rare company. I know like Kobe has 2 of his numbers retired in L.A., 8 and 24. That's pretty unique. And I think he's got 3. Didn't they just unveil 3 statues of him in front of the L.A. arena?
I thought it was just one.
I think it's 3. One with 24, one with 8, and one with his daughter.
I didn't know that.
That's pretty amazing in its own right.
I'm trying to go through in my head.
There are some places that have actually retired Michael Jordan's number just because he was Michael Jordan. The Bulls, obviously. But I read somewhere where a couple of other ball clubs just retired 23 in honor of Michael Jordan, which is weird. And it wasn't Washington where he did play.
Didn't Boston do something like that?
I don't know. Boston's got plenty that are retired, though. From Bill Russell in particular, player, coach. I'm sure Cousy. Bird's probably in that grouping.
Yeah. I think the next player that's going to get 3 jersey retirements is probably LeBron.
Oh.
With the Cavs, with the Heat, and then with the Lakers.
Maybe. Yeah. I'd say that's probably certainly the Cavs.
Yeah. Won championships for all 3 organizations.
Yeah,
so.
That's right. Could happen. Boy, LA's going to run out of numbers. They've already retired 2 of them for Kobe.
Good.
That's crazy.
Start using those numbers in the 70s.
That's crazy. Yeah, well, and they did Shaq. The other aspect about the Shaq thing was all the players that came back that were his buddies, his teammates. So he was the first player, I think, drafted. He was the first All-Star. He was the first All-NBA. And, of course, he was the first big name ever traded, or not traded, left Orlando. So Shaq was pretty special. And because he left Orlando of his own volition to go to L.A., where I believe he thought he was going to be a movie star, he did get involved in some of that. I want to say he thought he would never see that particular franchise honor him. So he was incredible. And, I have no idea how Penny got there. I think Penny was at practice, so Penny must have hopped on an airplane, a private plane, and went to Orlando, was involved in the press conference, where Shaq thanked him for making him a better guy, making him a better player. He basically said something to, I was a selfish guy, but you made me a better guy, a better player. So that was impressive in its own right. The other aspect was, did you see the sport coat that Penny Hardaway, or suit, whatever it was, that Penny Hardaway had on? It was a custom-made deal, and inside were pictures, but fabric, pictures of that were of him and Shaq playing together in their Orlando Magic uniforms.
Yeah.
Gameplay, game action.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah, that's pretty fire. That's pretty fire.
I got to ask him that. That's amazing how cool that looked. But that was a special moment, and then he unveiled it. And if you go to Twitter X, whatever you call it, you could see it because he opened up the coat and showed everybody. I think that was pretty impressive in its own right. And then the big thanks to Penny. That was awfully nice of Shaq. And 3 teams. That is absolutely incredible. There's an incredible story, and Chuck Aline, I believe, listens to the show, has been on this show before. It's a story that was written by Jeff Calkins, columnist for the Daily Memphian, who's weaning away from true sports and doing more featurey stuff, of which he is brilliant. And he wrote a great story. It'll tear you up. It is Chuck Galina's story of him and his mom, who now has Alzheimer's. And unfortunately, I know a lot about Alzheimer's because my mother passed away from Alzheimer's. I sit on an executive board of Alzheimer's. When conflicts don't arise, like Tiger football, I MC their walk, which is very moving and is their biggest fundraiser. And all I can say is it's not in time for Chuck's mom, nor my mom, probably not going to be in time for me in the next 10 to 20 years. But hopefully our children and the next generation, Alzheimer's is making great strides with treatments, understanding what causes the plaque to block the synapses from communicating in the brain. There are these new proteins, and there's ultrasound that's actually being used to stop tremors and maybe open up passages, or at least the ability to slow down the progress of the disease. It's working, but we need more money. And that's why the walk is so important. It is the biggest fundraising event. If you would like to get involved, just go to Alzheimers.com, go to the websites, and see how you can be a contributor. Start thinking about a team for the walk. The walk is going to be October 19th at Tiger Lane. And it really does matter. And if you're a caregiver, which, that's the biggest economic factor, the amount of money that is needed, not just to fight, but to help treat and take care of people. And a guy like Chuck, you'll read it in the story, he retired from his job at the University of Memphis to become a caregiver. Because the other alternative is to put somebody in a memory care unit, which is very, very expensive and certainly not going to be the kind of care that you could give your own mom. My heart, my salute goes out to Chuck Galina. There is no question about that. But the walk, I think, also is something that soothes the heart. It's very moving. You are with people in the same boat as you, whether you're a patient or whether you are a caregiver. So I urge you again, try to find out a way to get a team or to be involved. Just go to Alzheimers.com. I believe that's the website. But a great story about a great family situation, or at least a heartwarming situation. Chuck Galina and his mom. Read it from Jeff Calkins in the Daily Memphian. The Tigers prepare, hit the road. They haven't done this where they stayed on the road other than the conference tournament since a trip that was Dallas to Houston. It was in the Josh Pastner era, so it's been a while. Can't remember how many years ago. But the Tigers will play at North Texas tomorrow night, spend the night there, then go to on Friday. They'll be in Dallas, Saturday night in Dallas, and play SMU on Sunday. There will be practices, obviously, their usual routine. It will just all be on the road. Sometimes that's better for bonding because you don't go to your dorm or your apartment or whatever. You're with your roommate on the road the whole time. And you're, as a group, together all the time, watching film, eating. It's clearly a bonding time, and this team needs to bond at this time. So we mentioned yesterday you got a quad 2 opportunity because I believe North Texas is in the upper 70s of the net. And then I think SMU is like 43. That's a quad 1 opportunity. Memphis at 75, we mentioned this yesterday, is like on the border of quad 2 and quad 3 for SMU. Those games are important. You are in important a stretch as you're going to get, because after that trip, your next 2 games are at home against Charlotte and Florida Atlantic. Your chances of being a AQ, an automatic qualifier in the NCAA tournament, will come from the results of this stretch. I think if you go 3-1, you're sitting really well, especially if that only loss comes at SMU, which would be a quad 1 loss on the road. It's understandable. If you get that game and you're 4-0, friends, you can forget about the 4-game losing streak. That will be over because you will have won 7 in a row, and you will have beaten quad 1 teams, 2 of them, and you will have moved your way back up and maybe into that 6th spot that FAU is in the Lenardi bracketology today. 3-1, I think you're still alive, especially if that only loss is at SMU. You go 2-2, and probably, depending on the way it all goes, but most likely you'd have to get to the championship game. Maybe even win the championship game. We'll have to wait and see how what other teams do. Because remember, as Brett Norsworthy, who's going to join us a little bit, reminds us you got to pick 68 teams. There are 68 teams that are going to be in this deal. Now, the deep analytics, and when I say that I mean Ken Palm and Bart Torvik, they do this deep analytics thing. Their projections are best 2-2. Beating Charlotte, beating North Texas, most of them have losing at SMU and to FAU. I don't think they're going to lose twice to FAU. I really don't. And I know Penny, from the very beginning of this year, all he's been thinking about is getting Florida Atlantic back. They talked from the get-go when you came out for pregame warm-ups in that NCAA tournament game, and deep down inside, Penny knows his team had that game won. They had possession of the ball with 10 seconds left. They didn't get the timeout that was supposed to be called. His star guard gave up the ball. Maybe he was injured, and we'll never know. But their attitude and the way that game ended, Penny Hardaway has circled this as a major red-letter game. They're not losing twice to Florida Atlantic. But this road trip, that is what is so important. I don't think they go worse than 2-2. 3-1 sounds pretty good to me, but 4-0, I think you can forget about the 4-game losing streak. Oh, one last note before we take our break. It's a good note, and it is the Grizzlies, and it is Vince Williams, who made the Rising Stars team out of nowhere, okay? He now replaces the Pelicans' Dyson Daniels, who has knee soreness. So he's not going to be able to play. That is pretty good. You think about this. There's 12 second-year players on the Rising Stars team. Zach Boyd, 11 of those 12 are lottery picks. He's the only guy not way up in the draft, 45. In fact, on his own team, because he was the 47th pick, Jake LaRavia, David Roddy, Kennedy Chandler, they were all picked ahead of Vince Williams. So that, to me, is just a fantastic story. From out of nowhere, he gets a 4-year deal and makes the Rising Stars. And, you know, the kid's attitude, because he plays both ways, and he's truly a D&3 guy. And he seems to respect the game and respect his teammates and understand where he's come from. And I just think it's a beautiful story to be considered, not just the 47th, not the fact that you're the only guy that's on this team that wasn't in the lottery, but the fact that you were way down in that year's class from your own team that had 4 second-rounders, and you were the last one, and now you're in the Rising Stars. A fabulous story. One last note, the Grizz get a Jordan, but it's Jordan Godwin. On a 10-day, he's the point guard, played 40 games already with Phoenix. And he averaged 5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He was part of their deal in a deadline trade to Brooklyn. Brooklyn waived him. The Grizzlies already had a couple of 10-day contracts expire, so they've decided to give this guy a chance for 10 days. So now Gilliard and Pippen with him, because that tells me, I don't know if you've heard anything different about Derrick Rose, but that says Derrick Rose still isn't going to be ready for a little bit, and maybe they're going to rest Derrick Rose for the rest of the year. I have no idea. It's only 10 days, so we'll have to wait and see. But what have you heard about Derrick Rose?
I mean, well, I'm just looking at it from a 10-day, the 2-way contract situation, because I think Taylor said it after the game that, or at one of his media availabilities that, he's trying to juggle how many, who gets what games, because right now Gilliard, he's you're talking about,
how close is he?
He's 3 games left on his 2-way deal.
He's already played 47 games?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Gilliard's on the brink of his deal expiring, and then you talk about Scotty. Scotty had the full 50 when he signed his, but he might run out if he continues to play every day. He might run out, but I think they've been kind of strategically having him sit out as well.
Here's the question, right? When you sign a guy to a 2-way, if he's already played NBA games, like he played last year 40 with the Lakers, I don't know how many he's played this year. Does that start the clock anew?
Yes.
So he's got 50 games.
Yes.
So Scottie Pippen's going to be your point guard for most of this year, unless Marcus Smart comes back and plays some of that position. Bane comes back and plays some of that position. Rose gets healthy finally and definitely can play that. That's a position. I don't know. It is interesting, though. So your clock starts anew. So let's just say the Grizzlies traded Gilliard, and he signed a new 2-way deal with somebody else. He could still play 50 more games?
Yes. If he's had another year on his deal, he can.
Interesting.
But I think since the max that they can give is 2 years.
It's hard to believe he's already played 47 games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you imagine, like with the season being the way that it is, yeah,
crazy.
He's almost up.
We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and yes, the floor model sales continuing. I guess it's going to go through the end of the month, and that's crazy. But that's great because you are getting such unreal models on really stuff that you could use, like patio sets. They're priced and ready to move. Special price if they're a floor model. You get great savings. How about pool tables under $1,500, theater seating under $2,000, and the 4-person hot tubs under $5,000? They got the new saunas, the infrared technology, or the old technology, which I love, the steam saunas. Those are 25% off. Just get to I-40 and Wooden Road. Go north about a half a mile. Look to the east. That's your right. You're there. Family Leisure with the floor model sale going on right now. And this portion of the show is brought to you by the good folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai. And they want me to start telling you about the brand new Santa Fe. You know that I love that SUV, but that SUV is now changed top to bottom. It's almost as big as their Palisade, so it's grown in size. It's got a standard third row that everybody seems to be clamoring about. And it's got that ride. You know, I love talking about how SUVs, I love sitting high. The only complaint you ever hear about SUVs are it doesn't ride like a sedan. This one does. The new 24 Santa Fe SUV rides like a luxury car, and it's quiet. It is the ultimate family vehicle, and all you need to do to be sold is go by and get a test drive. I'm telling you, this is what they've told me. The guys at Homer say, if you go drive this car, you will want this car. Go check out the new 2024 Santa Fe at Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 Lamar and Craft Road. Back in a minute to Forest City we go, and our friend Brett Norsworthy on all things SEC.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkhammer, Sunrise Buick GMC truck. Going to start out the new year buying a new used car truck. Remember, the selection's better and the savings are bigger at Sunrise. Acres of new cars and trucks to choose from. A $5 million used car inventory of late model GM certified cars and trucks. And remember, Sunrise specializes in cars and trucks under $99.95. Don't forget, Sunrise has a financing plan for everybody and specializes in secondary financing. The #1 volume Buick and GMC dealer in the Mid-South. Sunrise, we're saving you money. It's just the way of doing business, partner. Covington Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe in 2024. We can't wait to serve you.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. 5-Ash Roofing, the name to know. 5-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. 5-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. 5-Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5-Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM, your Mid-South sports station.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Take me to the pilot of your soul. Take me to the pilot, lead me to the train. Take me to the pilot, I'm not a stranger. Take me to the
Welcome back in. We will be flying on over to Forest City here in just a minute. You know, I talk so much about Grind City Brew, and I love all their wonderful beers. They've been taking care of beerness in Memphis for a long time. They also have big events. Like today, they've got the Swifty V-Day party at the brewery. Grind City Brewing will be showing the Eras Tour film and have made a special cocktail mocktail for the event. There are snacks, there's freebies. It's a whole lot of fun. That is tonight, right on the premises of Grind City Brewing. And just a little more promo here. Belga is going to be, you know, that's the Blue Moonish kind of thing, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They are going to be part of the Grind City Music Festival. Mark these dates down, April the 5th and 6th. Charlie Crockett, Muscadine Bloodline on the 5th, Whiskey Myers, the Red Clay Strays, Nikki Lane, that'll be on the 6th. So we got a little music festival going on at Grind City Amphitheater. That's early April. And, of course, the big party tonight at the brewery. It's the Swifty Valentine's Day party tonight at Grind City. Let's head on over and chat with our friend in Forest City. You listen to him every day, 3 to 6, with Brian Takis. That's the one and only. That is Brett Norsworthy. Let's start with parity. 2 more unranked teams beat ranked teams last night. There seems to be more parity, maybe even more blowouts, other than the SEC this year. What do you think that is, Brett?
I think a lot of it. Good morning, Dave. A lot of it, I think, is the portal and players. Not necessarily always this case, but like a Dalton Connect from a smaller school goes to a bigger school, and the trickle down factor of that happens as well. There's some players that started somewhere bigger and they go somewhere else and they make that team better, and you're getting these upsets. But we're also this is the time of year in college basketball, Dave, that in a lot of conferences, not all, but in a lot, you're seeing teams for the second time, and man, that book is thick on them. The team that maybe lost the first time, they really know the adjustments to make if they got a chance to spring that upset. And a lot of times in that second meeting, that team that won the first time thinks, hey, we beat them the first time. We got these guys. So you get a few more upsets because of that.
Great example of that came last night. Syracuse had lost in Chapel Hill by 36.
Really embarrassed.
And then last night, the Orange turned the trick on the Tar Heels by, I think it was 9, but, close to double digits.
Court storming.
That shocked me, really.
It's Syracuse.
Seriously. It's Syracuse?
Yeah.
And it's not like it was the number 1 team. What was North Carolina was either 5 or 7. I can't remember which. I mean, it wasn't the number 1 team in the country. It was 5 years ago, though, that they had actually beaten the team at home that was a top 10 team.
And I think it was an embrace, kind of a confirmation of the new coach with, biggest shoes, out there to fill Boeheim. But I saw him coming over the top of Matt Park courtside.
They came out quick.
They did.
Really quick.
That left end baseline in the corner, man, it was record time to get out there.
Whew, I don't care about storming the court. Honestly, I think kids, fans that have been long-suffering, let them have fun. But with this caveat, you got to get the opposing team and their coaching staff the heck out of there first.
Have you ever been a part of a court storming?
I just was in Birmingham.
No. Have you ever?
Oh, did I ever run on the court? Hey,
yeah.
Come on. Where did I go to college?
Well, the big wins at SIU.
No, we never. The closest thing was they beat Doug Collins' Illinois State team. But that was right before I got there. That was probably the biggest win, other than Walt Frazier's teams in the
Doug
NIT.
Collins, a great college player, great NBA player.
Great, yes, great Olympic player.
Got
absolutely robbed. That was probably the biggest win at SIU Arena, was beating Doug Collins' team, because I think they were in the
there are
top
NBA
5
people
teams
that say that part of the kind of the surly, rough-hewn act of Greg Popovich goes back to he is still bitter over being cut from the 72 Olympic team. And he thought the premise goes that he thought he should have made it because Air Force Academy during the middle of Vietnam, a lot of big-name players wouldn't even go to Olympic tryouts, wouldn't go to the Olympic Games. He did, and then left at the altar in the last cut. And that he's run hot 52 years over it.
You know what I think? I think the dude is smart as can be. If you ever talk to him off the court, especially things not basketball, he's charming, he's interesting, he's a great storyteller. I think Pop realizes he found himself a niche being a curmudgeon, and he plays that role perfectly. That's my hunch.
I think he probably plays the media pretty well.
Yeah, I do. He's a smart dude. There is no question about that.
And we're not, so we're easy to play.
There you go. While we're on the subject of coaches, this is hard one. You love to say, who would be at this point, and there's still 7 regular season games left. Who would be your coach of the year? Would it be a guy that's delivered from out of nowhere, like Todd Golden at Florida or Lamont Paris at South Carolina? Maybe even Chris Beard. That's sort of slipping away because they've lost a bunch of league games now. Or would you go with Bruce Pearl, Nate Oates, Rick Barnes? Would you go with the old guard there? How would you make your choice?
May I take a little bit of a powder on it tonight and say tonight's Coach of the Year game? If Lamont Paris wins on the road tonight at Auburn, the toughest place to play in the SEC now, I think he's got it running away. They're ranked 11th, Auburn ranked 13th, but Auburn's a big favorite tonight, 11.5-point favorite on the Plains. But if Lamont Paris in South Carolina goes in there and wins tonight, still just 3 losses for South Carolina all year, and the 3 losses are quality losses, nothing to hang your head about at all. If he wins tonight on the road, I think it's his the rest of the year almost by acclamation.
It's an amazing statement you just made. Auburn is the toughest place in the SEC to play.
It is, undeniably.
I think the proof's in the pudding, too, because everybody go, come on, Brett. What about Lexington? What about Rupp Arena, Kentucky?
Yeah, still laid back. Still too much Chablis and wine sipping.
Well, they lost 3 of their last 5 in that building, too. I mean, they had to finally break a streak by beating Ole Miss last night. Now, they look pretty good doing that. I will give them that. Worst job. Eric Musselman, John Calipari, Jerry Stackhouse. Because what is Jerry? Jerry's in his 5th or 6th year, and he's never sniffed being 500 in league play.
Well, it could be Dennis Gates to go from a shot from the Sweet 16 to 0-11 and 8-16, and next to last in SEC in net rankings, 153 net. Mizzou's really bad,
God,
and it is shown. No, I think it's John Calipari with that just mountain of talent and athletes that he has to underperform as he almost always does.
Might I? Because I might be called the Calipari apologist. I just happen to think he's terrific, and not many do in this town. But he's missing.
I loved him here. I just think he's overdone at Kentucky.
Well, here's the deal.
He's got the same national championships as Joe Hall.
He does, and he certainly should have had at least one more, which he would have won if he'd stayed here. The thing for this year with his team, not only are they incredibly young, which I do think matters in this day and age with portal and extra years for COVID, but also as he's made a point now, and this is his, you know how he works routines and he polishes them and then they become mantras. He's working this thing where, he's had 2 starters out for most of the year. Last year was the first year.
Yeah.
Last night was the first night he's had every player that signed with his team available, and they beat a decent Ole Miss team, and they pretty much handled them for most of the night.
From the 10-minute mark on, they were in total control.
So is that a fair excuse that he's now pushing?
Well, ultimately it'll play out. I mean, in about a month, we'll see where they're ranked. Selection Sunday is St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. We'll see where they're seated and how it will play out. And it has not been good the last few years. I don't expect it to be good this year. I think one thing that has really hurt John Calipari in the last few years is you look at that sideline, you look at that bench, that cadre of assistants. I wouldn't have any of them running my summer camp.
You wouldn't have Orlando in there?
You remember the job he did as a head coach, Dave?
Well, but you know what Orlando Antigua is really known for? It's for recruiting, and he helped get that class. That class is a heck of a class.
Somebody's got to coach him after you get
right.
him.
Well, that's John. Have you ever been to a John Calipari practice? Seriously,
I have.
He doesn't let anybody anybody coach. He's the guy.
It shows.
He doesn't even
he
shift
John
around
Robic.
scouts. He always used to give that to Robic. I don't know how he does it now, but in his heyday, he had one guy doing the scout. He had a major recruiter, whoever that might be. Now it's Orlando Antigua. What?
He misses Kenny Payne badly. They get him back.
He might. Believe me, he can get him back next year if he wants.
Bruiser Flint and Antigua. I think that staff's really poor.
Huh. Well, that may be the case because they have not done the job this year, but there is still time to play. I still think they're going to be a factor because if he's got them all and they start playing with the energy they did last night, that one guy had 10 blocks last night.
He did. dominated the post, and
Yeah.
that has been lacking for him.
Yeah, I like him. All right, last thing. Mike DeCourcy, in his Fox bracketology, says 9 SEC teams in. He goes all the way down to Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Both are 5 and 6 in league play. You buying it or selling that?
I'm going to sell that. I've kind of been at 8. The cutoff at 8 is 45 in the net, and that surprisingly South Carolina. And then at 9 is Ole Miss at 61. Now, the teams that are 33, 34, 43, 45, and so it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy for them. Even when they lose, they'll lose to somebody in that neighborhood so they won't get crushed. Only Ole Miss can crush its net, and they got to start winning at home. They got to start at Saturday night against Mizzou. If Ole Miss can go, I think they have 4 remaining at home and 3 on the road. If they could go 3-1 at home and 2-1 on the road, and it win at least on Thursday in Nashville, and maybe even Friday in Nashville, then I think it could be 9. But of that 9, who's going to win it for the SEC? Hadn't had a national champion since 2012 when Kentucky won it last time. Who's going to win it for the SEC? I don't think Alabama's winning it all. I don't think Tennessee or Auburn's winning it all. I sure don't think Kentucky. And then you drop down to all those teams with very similar net.
You know, one of the other guys we could have put in maybe somewhere between great job and poor job was Williams, because A&M, they got the preseason player of the year in their point guard. They got plenty of athleticism. They're the most up and down team. Losing to Vandy last night?
Losing at Vandy after getting the lead back, in that point guard, he took a shot where you don't want to get hit down the stretch. I thought he was dead. I really did. I thought, I mean, and the announcers kind of laughed about it, and I thought, it's not funny, Tyrese Radford. And then he goes to the line after gathering himself and making 2 free throws, and he couldn't breathe. I mean, and he didn't get back on defense real well because of it.
Well, you've been hit there, buddy. I know it. I've been.
I like that, man. That was all time. I really did. I thought he had passed out.
You don't come back. I don't care how young you are. You don't come back from that right away.
And he, I think you're seeing stars from it, almost like he was concussed.
Whew. He's Brett Norsworthy. We'll talk again.
The trainer came out with an ice bag.
Oh, man. Oof.
Not good.
I'm getting nauseous just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I really am.
Half our audience, they are.
Have a good weekend, my friend.
You got it, Dave. Be safe.
That's our man. He is in Forest City, right at the microphone there. See his face. How about that? Smile. There you go. Like it. We will head to Baton Rouge in just a minute. You know, it's V-Day. Dinstall's is open. You've got your second chance to make a hit with your significant other. Nothing beats those strawberries. Nothing beats the cashew crunch. Nothing beats the turtleette. Nothing beats the award-winning fudge. You've got to get there. If you've missed out, they're open today. They're going to be open all day long, all 5 locations. Downtown, Collierville, Germantown, where they make the candy. That is on Pleasant View. In my neck of the woods in Laurelwood, all 5 locations. They'll be busy. Everybody goes last second, but everybody is always smiling when they leave, and then they're really smiling later when they give their gift if it's got the Dinstall's wrapper on it. Back in just a minute, and we chat with Ron Higgins. He's next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination, has 27 delicious flavors to choose from and counting. Like the Buffalo Ranch, a perfect combo of ranch seasoning with a little kick. Mango Habanero, sweet taste of mango followed by the heat. Or sweet maple bourbon. The taste will remind you of chicken and waffles. And that's just 3 of the amazing 27 chicken wing seasonings that you can get at the Crazy Coop in Bartlett at 7199 Stage Road, and now open the Crazy Coop Express at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Some like it hot. How about the Crazy Sweet Lemon Pepper Hot or Crazy Suicide? Can't take the heat? Get the 4-cheese roasted garlic or barbecue bacon bourbon. Ask about the $9.99 lunch special. Now those are some crazy good prices. The Crazy Coop. 2 locations, 7199 Highway 64 between Aplin and Kirby Whitten and 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Family owned and operated, The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination. Head on over to Frontier Western Store for their most anticipated event of the year, the famous February sale. It's your golden opportunity to save big on an extensive range of boots and apparel. Discover huge discounts on Carhartt. Dive into a selection of clearance shirts available up to 40% off alongside coats /30% off. There are limited time exclusive deals on select Ariat shirts and jackets too, with fresh items joining the clearance racks weekly throughout the month. But that's not all. Frontier's Boots Room is brimming with markdowns too. Hundreds of discounted boots and shoes from Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, and Ariat, all priced to move as Frontier makes way for their exciting new spring collection. Whether you want stylish dress footwear or durable work boots, now's the time to stop by Frontier and snag your next pair. Oh, and all Hey Dude shoes are now part of the sale also, and those will go quick. So don't miss out on the famous February sale at Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund is belong to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax-confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
It's time to get thunderstruck during Gossett Mitsubishi's spring sales event at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Ready to get 43 MPG Highway? Check out the 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. We Gossett, $18,610 or $249 a month. Need extra room? 7-passenger seating in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SE, $33,605 or $399.99 a month. And Gossett Mitsubishi's got sophisticated styling and comfort in 2024 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, $31,200 or $449 a month. Plus, every Gossett Mitsubishi comes with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we Gossett and Gossett Motor Cars.
Mirage RH00591 MSRP 19110, Outlander RZO 19512 MSRP 34605, Eclipse RZO 10625 MSRP 317, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
It just dawned on me. I was it Tuesday, yesterday, or maybe it was Monday when I talked about the numbers of the Super Bowl. 123.4 million was the average that watched the game, right? But at one point in time, at least 200 million Americans watched that game. So it just sort of dawned on me. That means just about 2 out of every 3 Americans at least watched a part of the Super Bowl. That's why it was the most watched television show in the history of TV, even in an age where we've got cable and fractured ways to watch. It's incredible. So I'm going to start there with you, Ron Higgins. What did you think of that Super Bowl?
I watched the second half because the first half I was finishing up an LSU women's game, and so I caught the better half.
You did. If there was a half to watch, that was the one. Unless you like defense.
Yeah, and once they got to overtime, I knew Kansas City would win, even before the coin toss. Brock Purdy didn't lose that game, but Patrick was going to win the game.
That's it.
That's basically it. Patrick was going to win the game.
Isn't that what makes a great game? It's not when a team loses a game; it's when the other team beats you, and that's exactly what Mahomes did. He came from 3 down to tie the game at the last second, and then 3 down in the overtime to win the game. You can't ask for more adding to your legacy than that. 3rd Super Bowl MVP. Whew.
I covered Mahomes' last college game. He played LSU in the Texas Bowl. LSU had Fournette, and LSU won pretty big, but you could tell Mahomes was really, really good. Like, wow, this guy.
Did you really? So there were people at that time that were going, you know, Mahomes is a product of Cliff Kingsbury's system. You hear that a lot. College kid, he's the product. A lot of Spurrier's quarterbacks that way. They're good, but it's all the product of the system. He's not going to be that good in the NFL. And a lot of people were saying that about Mahomes.
Yeah, but I mean, just watching him, you know, just in that game, you could tell that he had this innate ability to make plays when the play wasn't there to be made. Just a great feel for the game. Yeah, he was impressive. I mean, actually, LSU won by like three or four touchdowns. They had Fournette, and he had a huge night. But I just kept remembering, man, this guy. You always could. I mean, LSU played Lamar Jackson in the bowl game when he won the Heisman, and they handled him with no problem. You know, sacked him a bunch. But you could also tell Lamar Jackson he was special. But Mahomes, you could just kind of tell, like when nothing was there, he could make a play, and it's kind of what he does. You know, I mean.
Well, all right. So let me add, this is a hard one for you. I had no idea we were going to get to this, but this is interesting. Did you know that Joe Burrow would be as good as he has become, or did you think just by watching him in college that he'd be in the league with Mahomes?
Yeah, I mean, you could kind of sense it some of his first year at LSU, but the second year you knew right away. I was thinking the other day how LSU. I was thinking to myself about teams that win national championships in different sports and the elements it takes to win it. And LSU was so good that year that their defense really didn't come together the last 3 or 4 games of the year when everybody got healthy. And you just never thought LSU was going to lose a game, even when their defense wasn't very good because of him. They scored any time they wanted to, every time. They were going to outscore you no matter what. And yeah, I thought he would because he just had this ability to know where to go with the ball. Is extremely smart. Never really made a bad throw all year. Always worked so much with his receivers that he knew where on every route, you know, where the receiver would like the ball thrown. I mean, like did you want it high around the shoulder pads? Do you like it in the middle of his gut? Do you like it low? How do you like it thrown? I mean that's how good he was.
Yeah, the only thing holding Joe Burrow back from true greatness, Mahomes-like greatness, in my mind, is health, and he just can't. He can't stay healthy.
Injuries. I mean, he got all the team that has no blocking whatsoever. Still haven't really protected him. Just taking a horrific beating his first few years in the league. It's amazing. You know. I mean, he's gotten a lot smarter. I mean, he used to like to run and take on people. He realized he really can't do that. He's just trying to survive, not getting killed. Yeah. I mean, you give him time. You give him a little time, though. I mean, and he does move around the pocket pretty well. But yeah, he needs some blocking. But Mahomes has that quickness and that sense to window escape, like that huge run he had in overtime up the middle. That was as soon as he made that, you knew it was over. You really did.
Well, they just said, "What have we got to lose? Let's run them now." I mean, this is for all the marbles. All right, let's get back. Let's get back to hoops and let's get back to parity. I was just talking with Brett Norsworthy about this earlier. This is the year of parity, and it's the year, other than the SEC, of big blowouts and huge home court advantages. Why do you think that is?
Well, I truly think that. I just think for one. There's more parity because of NIL. I think that the talent's more spread out. Anybody can buy guys now, and if you buy the right guys, you can go a long way and make a run. That said, and so I think nobody's intimidated by anybody when they get in their home court. Like I said, I told you, watching Kansas just get romped by Texas Tech, like wow. You see it all the time. I mean, people they just go out and, teams that ranked teams will get beat now on the road because teams just aren't afraid. Like we got a shot. We got people. We have some talent. I think that's just the way it is now. I mean, I know UConn's considered the best team in the nation right now, but you kind of waiting for them to play somebody. I mean, they lost to Kansas early in the year and beat North Carolina and beat Gonzaga. But since then, they've gotten conference. They didn't play anybody. But they got Marquette this Saturday. Marquette's like number 4. So you want to see what happens when UConn plays somebody. I mean, they're 22-2. They're good, but again, who's great? Is UConn great? Is Purdue great? I mean, Houston's up there, but then they're capable of getting beat.
Well, they lost to Kansas by 30.
Yeah,
and then Kansas loses at Tech. But all these are home court advantages. Then take a little bit of a look at the ACC, where North Carolina beat Syracuse by 36 and loses by 9 last night.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy. Part of it is I agree with you. It's the NIL and the portal and that combination. The other thing is I don't think there's a great team out there. I don't think UConn's a great team. I don't think Houston is a great team. I think all these teams have flaws, and there's just not one team that you go, that team is amazing.
Exactly. There isn't, which bodes well for March Madness. It could be crazier than ever, honestly. I mean, I don't think it really matters if you're seeded 1 or 2 in this tournament. And I mean, I think you can get beat. You can get taken out. You can get taken out in the first weekend, honestly.
No question.
So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Look, the SEC tournament is going to be great because according to Mike DeCourcy, 9 SEC teams are in bracketology. They're going to make the tournament. You think that'll happen real quick?
9? Nah, I love my man Mikey D, but I don't know if 9 will get there.
Yeah.
I always look at the SEC like about 6.
I think no less than 7. I think they'll get 7 in when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, I can't go 9. That's
Ron?
maybe when they go to 16 teams, maybe, but not now.
Yeah. Enjoy your weekend. We'll do this again next Wednesday. Thank you so much.
All right, Wolo, take care. We'll see you.
That's our historian in Baton Rouge. That is Ron Higgins. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team. They do insurance the collaborative way. They do it a unique way. They want to get to know you to protect you. They want to know your family. They want to know what's important, what your budget is, and then they'll protect your home. They'll protect your car. They'll protect your future with life insurance. Same thing if you're a small to mid-sized business. That's their specialty. They'll get to know you, your product, your employees. They'll forecast you down the road a little bit. Then they'll ask you what your budget is, and they'll figure out the best protection, the best commercial insurance for your company. It's this simple. You call this number and get to know them so they can get to know you. Call 901-386-GUR because they're big Tiger supporters. 901-386-GUR is 4777. Get protected the collaborative way. Be protected with the Eflin Insurance Team. That'll do it for me today. I'll talk to you tomorrow from Denton, Texas. Our friend Johnny Radio is right around the corner. Happy V-Day, everybody.